When a three-time NASCAR champion decides to join forces with a YouTube racing star who built his empire from scratch, the result is not just headlines. It is a fundamental shift in how motorsports operates. That is exactly what is unfolding right now between Tony Stewart and Cleetus McFarland, and the magnitude of what these two are putting together has every corner of the racing industry paying close attention. To understand why this partnership carries so much weight, you have to understand who Tony Stewart really is. Growing up in Columbus, Indiana, Stewart discovered his passion for racing at a very young age, starting in go-karts before progressing through every ladder series imaginable. By the time the 1990s were wrapping up, he had already claimed the 1997 IndyCar Series Championship, a title that announced to the motorsports world that this young man from Indiana was not going anywhere. His transition into NASCAR came in 1999 when he joined Joe Gibbs Racing, and the results were immediate. He claimed Rookie of the Year that season and never looked back. Championships followed in 2002, 2005, and 2011, cementing his place among the all-time greats of stock car racing. What separated Stewart from his peers was never just raw speed. It was his absolute refusal to back down from anyone or anything. He was outspoken, intense, and deeply competitive in a way that fans either loved or could not ignore. When Stewart-Haas Racing closed its doors in 2024, many observers assumed Stewart's connection to NASCAR had finally reached its natural conclusion. Instead, he redirected his competitive fire into NHRA Top Fuel drag racing, partnering with Dodge and delivering a 2025 regular season Top Fuel championship that proved his hunger for winning had not faded one bit. Then, just when the racing world thought it had figured out his next chapter, Stewart dropped the announcement that nobody anticipated. He was returning to NASCAR, climbing behind the wheel of the number 25 Ram truck for Colleague Racing at the Daytona season opener on February 13th. It marked his first NASCAR competition since 2016 and his first Truck Series appearance since 2005. Stewart explained his reasoning plainly. "I've raced just about everything with four wheels at Daytona, but never a truck. So when a seat in the new Ram was offered up for their first race back in NASCAR, I didn't hesitate." Standing on the completely opposite end of the motorsports spectrum is Garrett Mitchell, the man the entire internet knows as Cleetus McFarland. His story did not begin in a racing academy or a karting championship. It began in front of a camera in 2015, hosting raw and unfiltered videos of car builds, burnout contests, and drag racing chaos that connected with audiences who had never felt represented in traditional motorsports media. The channel grew rapidly, eventually reaching 4.6 million subscribers, drawn in by his authentic personality and signature hell yeah brother energy. Series stars demonstrated legitimate ability behind the wheel. He crossed the finish line 10th at Talladega and 9th at Charlotte. Results that silenced anyone dismissing him as a content creator, simply playing driver. Every race he competes in carries profound personal meaning, because McFarland lost his closest racing mentor, Greg Biffle, in a devastating plane crash in Statesville, North Carolina, in December 2024. Biffle, who was 55 years old at the time of his death, held a place among NASCAR's top 75 greatest drivers and was actively being considered for Hall of Fame induction. "I wouldn't be here without Biff," McFarland stated publicly, and those words carry the full weight of grief and determination combined. For 2026, McFarland structured his most ambitious racing calendar yet. He committed to driving the number 32 Ford for Rhett Jones Racing across 5 to 10 ARCA races, beginning with Daytona on February 14th. Separately, he secured a part-time deal with Richard Childress Racing to pilot the number 33 Tommy's Express Chevrolet in the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. His destination is clearly stated: the Daytona 500. "It's all about honoring Greg and pushing myself," he said, laying out his motivation without any ambiguity. The relationship between Stewart and McFarland did not appear overnight. It developed through a series of shared moments that kept growing in significance every single time. The first real spark landed in February 2025 at McFarland's Spark Challenge event, a high-speed parking competition that drew an enthusiastic crowd. Stewart arrived, got behind the wheel, and proceeded to drift a car into a parking spot at full speed with burnout smoke filling the air. The crowd reaction was electric, and the footage spread across every corner of social media within hours. It was the kind of moment that only happens when two genuine personalities collide without a script. 3 months later, in May 2025, Stewart went a step further by actually competing in the Indy 800 at Lucas Oil Indianapolis Raceway Park, a Cleetus and Cars event featuring Crown Victorias racing on a paved oval. The scene inside that venue captured something rare. Longtime NASCAR devotees sharing grandstand space, with young fans wearing Cleetus McFarland merchandise, all of them cheering with identical intensity. Stewart later reflected on McFarland with genuine respect. Successful organizations in Stewart-Haas racing, that statement was not casual conversation. It was a serious acknowledgement of a new economic reality in motorsports. Daytona was where everything became undeniably real. On February 13th, Stewart strapped into the number 25 Ram truck representing Kaulig Racing, becoming the debut driver of Ram's free agent driver program, a rotating seat concept designed to bring high-profile names from across all of motorsports into the number 25 truck throughout the season. Tim Kuniskis, serving as head of American brands at Stellantis, described the program's ambition directly. "We're not just returning to the track, we're rewriting the playbook. Bringing Tony in as the first free agent will generate a crazy amount of excitement, which is exactly why we created the program." At that identical race, McFarland completed his NASCAR Truck Series debut, driving for Nice Motorsports, alongside Travis Pastrana. Their campaign carried the backing of Black Rifle Coffee Company and Brunt Workwear, and together they committed $100,000 to the Boot campaign, supporting veterans and military families. Both McFarland and Pastrana displayed Be Like Biff tributes across their trucks, with Biffle's number 16 marked by a halo above it. McFarland had cleared his NASCAR Super Speedway certification at Rockingham Speedway just days before arriving at Daytona, and his humor remained intact throughout. "I was going to put in a protest to NASCAR. Tony Stewart didn't come to the truck's rookie meeting. We'll let it slide this time." The overall field featured serious Cup Series talent, including Carson Hocevar, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and John Hunter Nemechek, alongside actor Frankie Muniz, competing in his second consecutive full season. Beyond the race results and the entry lists, the larger question consuming the racing community is straightforward. What are Stewart and McFarland actually constructing together? Stewart did not simply visit the Freedom Factory as a guest. Multiple sources confirmed he arrived with a camera crew and spent time evaluating the facility with a purpose that went well beyond a social appearance. Stewart's background in track ownership runs through Eldora Speedway, one of America's most celebrated dirt ovals, giving him a genuine operational understanding of what makes a racing venue work at the highest level. Combining that expertise with McFarland's digital reach and fan-based loyalty creates a partnership with capabilities that neither could achieve independently. Ram CEO Tim Kuniskis addressed speculation directly during an appearance on Kevin Harvick's podcast. Though his response left deliberate room for interpretation, we'll see where this all ends up. That response, from the chief executive of a brand investing heavily in motorsports, functions as confirmation that conversations are active rather than theoretical. McFarland's Freedom 500 at the Freedom Factory on April 4th and Stewart's rumored involvement in the Indianapolis event in May represent two more scheduled moments where their paths will cross publicly. Industry insiders are circulating concepts that would have generated skepticism just 2 seasons ago. Top Fuel dragsters competing at the Freedom Factory. Stewart controls a Top Fuel operation. McFarland controls the venue. A pay-per-view racing festival combining professional competition with YouTube format entertainment. Sprint cars, dragsters, Crown Vics, and trucks sharing the same event under one massive production. If that format proves successful, the infrastructure for a dedicated racing series targeting digital audiences, streamed live, produced for short attention spans, and centered on personality-driven competition, becomes the logical next development. NASCAR's audience numbers are declining on traditional television platforms. Attendance figures at many venues reflect a sport struggling to connect with younger demographics. Meanwhile, McFarland built a fan base numbering in the millions that actively purchases merchandise, travels to events, and engages with content daily. Stewart carries institutional credibility that opens doors within NASCAR, NHRA, and every sanctioning body in American motorsports. Their combined reach addresses exactly the gap that the sport cannot close on its own. Ram's stated ambition includes returning to the NASCAR Cup Series by 2027 or 2028, using the Truck Series platform as foundational development. And the visibility that Stewart and McFarland generate together accelerates every aspect of that plan. Built on completely different foundations are now pointing toward the same destination. Stewart arrived through decades of championship competition across every discipline of American motorsports. McFarland arrived through a camera, a racetrack in Florida, and an unfiltered connection with an audience that traditional motorsports never reached. When those two trajectories converge at Daytona, at the Freedom Factory, and at Indianapolis, the product is something the sport genuinely needs. Energy, relevance, and the feeling that something consequential is actually happening. The numbers support it, the timing supports it, and the industry is paying attention whether it wants to or not. Hit subscribe right now. When this project officially launches, you will want to already be here for every update as it breaks. Drop a like on this video if you believe Stewart and McFarland are genuinely building something that changes American motorsports forever. Comment your prediction below. Is this heading toward a single mega event, a brand new racing league, or something the sport has never seen before? Every comment gets read. Share this video with one racing fan in your life right now, because what comes next in this story is going to be worth watching from the very beginning.